Hey, what's going on everybody? Steve Sterling with Sentinel 17 Gaming. Thank you for checking out this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Now today I wanted to talk about Doom 64. For those of you that don't know, it came free with Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal released several days ago on March 20th. And for those that did pre-order the game, they received a digital download code for Doom 64. Now, Doom 64 released for the Nintendo 64 over 20 years ago, and was not as revolutionary as Doom 3 regarding changing up the formula. Now, there is a minor spoiler alert. I'm not going to tell you anything about the big bad in the game, but I will briefly mention the fate of the Doom Marine once you finish the game, so take note. Doom 64 was not as advanced as other first-person shooters available on the Nintendo 64, like GoldenEye 007. It didn't let you add up or down, and there was no jump option. Additionally, it was made by Midway Games, with ID Software taking on a more supervisory role. The earlier Doom games, of course, had ID Software developing the game, but with this iteration, it was actually Midway Games that did that. Interestingly enough, despite Nintendo focusing largely on 3 games for their current platform at the time, Doom 64 still relied on sprites in 2D-ish environments. With that being said, Doom 64 is an amazing entry into the franchise. Many of the enemies are redesigned from their earlier looks in Doom games, and the blood and gore is front and center. The feel of the levels are unfamiliar with how they're designed, and it requires the gamer to really think about how to navigate the environment and tackle objectives differently. And the music of the game is unnerving, to say the least. The game once again centers around the Doom Marine and his never-ending battle with the demon hordes of hell. At the end of Doom 64, after defeating the final demon, the Doom Marine decides to stay in hell to ensure the demons never invade Earth again. I'm not sure if this was an effort to end the Doom Marine's involvement with the franchise, or whether ID Software had planned at the time on making another Doom game at all. Doom 64 is technically a sequel to Doom 2, so this is entirely plausible, especially considering Doom 3 feels completely different from Doom 64. However, I have to say that if they ended the Doom Marine's involvement with Doom 64, it is possible that they had planned on possibly focusing on other ID properties rather than the Doom property, and maybe give it rest for some time, which could explain why there was a break of about 7 years between Doom 64, which came out in 1997, and Doom 3, which came out in 2004. Positives of Doom 64 are that the weapons feel great, especially the chain gun. It makes you feel powerful. And the levels really force you to think. The overall feel of the game is one of dread and anxiety, a proper theme for a Doom game. Just so you know, for this video I did actually increase the brightness level because these levels are naturally dark. So if the dim look of the game, whenever you're playing it, does bother you, turn up the brightness. Slight negatives, in my opinion, would be the limited 2D nature of the levels, enemies, and limited gameplay, and the fact that despite the Doom Marine staying in hell, it was slightly retconned afterwards, or perhaps completely abandoned with Doom 3. It is a great game, and I think if you're a Doom fan, you'll enjoy it, as it's a hidden gem that a good portion of gamers haven't had the chance to experience yet, especially those who either weren't around when the Nintendo 64 was on the market, or were exclusively PlayStation gamers at the time. Anyway, that's my video about Doom 64. For those of you that did pre-order the game, enjoy it. It is a different experience. It's not as fast moving as Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal, so if you're jumping back and forth between the 2 games, between Doom Eternal and Doom 64, it is going to be a little different, so keep that in mind. But it is a great game to experience, it's a great game to play through, and there are 4 secret levels, just giving you a heads up there, that are worth finding. The one that you can actually find in the first level, when you go there, it's probably going to be the hardest level you've ever played. I'm just throwing that out there. Thank you for joining me for this video on Doom 64. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any thoughts about this, I would love to hear them. Feel free to leave them in the comment section below. This is Steve Sterling with Sentinel 17 Gaming.